Yeah, I finally beat Kingdom Hearts 3, and for the most part, it was an enjoyable experience. Was it worth the almost 15-year wait? I don't know. But I would be lying to you if I said it was a bad game. It's not. I had a blast playing it. But it's far from perfect, and my biggest flaw with the game is absolutely its story. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Kingdom Hearts, it's essentially an anime-inspired world meets Disney characters. You play as Sora, a young kid with spiky hair wielding a weapon called a Keyblade, and your sidekicks are Donald and Goofy. You travel from one Disney world to the next and attempt to rid those worlds of bad guys called the Heartless. And the Heartless are controlled by a bunch of dudes in black robes called Organization 13. Got it? So it's basically your standard good versus evil story, but it's just not that good. Now, before you say, well, did you play the first two games? Yeah, I played the first two games. I remember waking up on Christmas morning of 2002 and playing the original game all day long. It was a masterpiece. I played this game so much that I eventually started wearing my hair like this. Not really, but you see what I'm saying. And the second game, well, it was just alright. And then for some reason, they came out with a bunch of decimal number games that I didn't play because I figured, hey, I'd just wait until Kingdom Hearts 3. And now here I am, almost 15 years later, talking about finally beating Kingdom Hearts 3. Okay, so back to the story. Why do I think it sucks? Well, simply they just have way too much going on. There are way too many characters in this game, and that's before even talking about the Disney characters in the worlds that you visit. I'm just talking about the main storyline here. The actual leader of Organization 13, Xenohort, is literally in the game maybe 2 or 3 times. Instead of him, every level is given a member of Organization 13 who pops up, spews out some god-awful corny bad guy dialogue, and then disappears. Most of the time you don't even fight them, they just talk, and very rarely do they ever even advance the plot. They're so incredibly forgettable and bland that it's difficult to care about them being in the game at all. You could literally delete almost all of them from the game and it would barely make a difference. Now, the dialogue was pretty corny at times, but Kingdom Hearts dialogue has always been pretty corny, and some of the voice acting kinda sucked, but I'm sure it's insanely difficult to bring all of these franchises together and get the original actors all on board, so I kinda gave those issues a pass. But what I can't give a pass to is the way that they ended the game. The finale literally drags out for like 3.5 hours. There are 8 different boss fights, and they awkwardly pile a bunch of different emotional scenes together because they feel obligated to wrap up every single subplot for the absurd amount of characters that they put into this game. It's just exhausting. And when a game makes you think, wow, I wish this would end already, that's never a good thing. The core story here isn't half bad, but when you have to scrape through 12 different subplots to get to it, it's hard to care that much. But Kingdom Hearts 3 does one thing incredibly well, and that's the gameplay. The gameplay is so good that I was able to forgive everything about the story that drove me insane. It starts off simple and accessible. Jump with circle, dodge with square, attack with X. After pressing X enough and building focus, you're given the ability to perform a special attack by pressing triangle, or power up your Keyblade, also done by pressing triangle. It's really easy to get into, but the more you unlock and the harder the game gets, the more strategic you're forced to be. You've then got to figure out what combination of magic, shot lock attacks, link attacks, power-ups, and special attacks you want to use in order to take down your opponent. The game does a great job of mixing up enemies from world to world, so things never really get repetitive, and some of the special attacks can only be described as visual spectacles, as they provide for some of the most epic moments you can see in a video game. And the highlight of the gameplay? The boss battles. The bosses and mini-bosses of Kingdom Hearts 3 are all expertly designed, unique, and just flat-out cool. The ability to lock onto these bosses and allow the camera to follow their movements while you battle them results in a visual experience as epic as something you'd see in God of War. Most of them are pretty difficult, and figuring out the best way to approach and defeat these enemies provides for a rewarding and exciting experience. I also really enjoyed the way these Disney worlds are designed. They all feel authentic, and while sometimes you follow the storyline of that given world's movie, I had the most fun when Sora, Donald, and Goofy experienced something original that hasn't already been seen before. Monsters Inc. and Pirates of the Caribbean were my favorite worlds, but you're most likely to enjoy the worlds that belong to the Disney movies that you enjoyed the most. For example, I never saw Tangled, so I wasn't too invested in that world. And did I mention that Monsters Inc. Goofy kinda looks like nightmare material? For a game that was 15 years in the making, it would have been really cool to see some other newly acquired Disney properties like Star Wars or Marvel, but they weren't able to make that happen, unfortunately. Still, I was fairly happy with the worlds that they were able to bring to the table, although the lineup doesn't come close to matching the greatness of the original. Anyways, in conclusion, Kingdom Hearts 3 is a fun game, although if I ever play it again, I'll probably end up skipping more than half the cutscenes. There are just way too many characters and subplots to keep me interested, but the gameplay is so uniquely designed, visually impressive, and rewarding that it more than made up for trudging through the story. I'd give Kingdom Hearts 3 7.5 Nightmare Goofies out of 10. Well, that's all I got. Who else played Kingdom Hearts 3? What'd you think? What should I play next? Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff, and you can also check me out on Instagram and Twitter. Oh, and as always, thanks for watching.